Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the 505 Podcast. First off, if you haven't left a review already, please go to the podcast
Straight
app,
to the plus.
go to Spotify, and leave us a 5-star for the boys. Thank you all for that. Also, if you're listening to the pod, you need to hop on over to YouTube because there's a new rock on the table, and it's not Chase, and it's not Costas, and it's not me, but what is it?
Oh, this thing?
Yeah.
My point and shoot?
Oh, it looks heavy, dude.
Your pea shooter.
Yeah, my pea shooter. It's pretty small.
Is that technically a Dizzler? I guess not, huh?
I don't think so.
I don't think Leica, if it's Leica, it's not a Dizzler.
Yeah, it's not a Dizzler.
It might look like
Tell
one,
us what
but-
you bought.
Okay, so I got a Leica. I got a Leica Q2, and ladies and gentlemen, this has been a This is a camera that I've been wanting to buy for 2 to 3 years, like for a really long time. As soon as I found out about what Leicas are, I really just wanted one, but they're really expensive, and I could never really afford one. But your boy's been grinding. Had a good last few months.
There you go.
Decided to treat myself.
Yeah, dude.
And it's a business write-off.
Yeah,
so
I
it's
mean,
like free.
the photos you took at the Odessa concert were fucking insane, dude.
We went to
That was so
Odessa.
fun.
Oh, dude, you mean...
You
Oh,
mean
all
in
three of us
Odessa?
did.
Oh.
all 3 rocks were at Odessa?
Come on.
Oh, dude. When I'm not shooting concerts, I'm still shooting concerts.
Yeah, I was
or
thinking,
what?
I was like, he just wants to work on his off day. I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, that was so fun.
It's funny because a big reason why I got this camera is because it's really lightweight and it's great for just an everyday carry kind of camera. It's also got a fixed lens. So when you go into concerts, they don't typically allow you to bring a camera in if you can change the lenses.
Right.
But if it's a fixed lens, the girl was kind of giving me a hard time in security. And I was like, no, it's like super wide. Like it's just a little small point shoot. They don't know. And I was like, or she asked, can you change the lens? I go, no, it's just a fixed lens. She's like, all right, you can bring it in.
Bada boom.
And
You chefed.
dude,
Oh,
it's
yeah, totally chefed.
I think I'm going to get one of the photos printed.
Yeah, dude.
Because they're fucking awesome.
Some of those were just insane. I don't even remember you taking them. I guess we were kind of moving and shaking, but when did you... I don't even remember.
You know?
Just sleight of hand pro.
Yeah. But it just looks different. And that's the
Yeah,
whole
it
thing
does.
with the Leica is similar to how like a Red or an RE cinema camera, colors just look different. It's really hard to explain to a person. You really just have to see the image. And that's how I feel about Leica. Is the reason why they're so expensive is because how they're made and the image that they produce is just, it's on like another level. And I also, so I took it to the Odessa concert, got some photos. They were amazing. Took it out on a boat on Friday, and just like golden hour hit, and the way that these photos turn out is just, it looks great. You can't explain it. You just got to see it in person. I will say the process of shooting with the camera is definitely a little bit slower. I'm used to coming from a Sony where it's super quick and easy to change the ISO, change the aperture, whatever settings. It's very easy to change, and autofocus is super fast and snappy. It's just a much slower process of shooting on a camera like this, but you do it because you're not going to be, this is not a workhorse kind of camera. I'm not going to be shooting the concerts with Loud Luxury for this. I'm not going to be doing like professional work with it. It's more of an everyday kind of camera for travel, for fun, for friends, going out on a boat, going out to lunch, whatever it may be. And that's really the reason I got it. I was telling Chase this, I don't know if I was telling you, but when I travel and you bring a big camera, one, it's like heavy and you feel it on your like shoulder. Even if you have a shoulder strap, it's still just like
It's not
a burden.
You think it wouldn't be such a big deal for a guy that's just,
Just massive.
Yeah, just massive. Just hitting the gym constantly, you know?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you though, do you think that this camera would like help your personal brand? Or do you think it's going to kind of go down from your personal brand? Is this align with what you're going with?
I think I'm maybe pivoting a little bit in my personal brand, or maybe just creating a separate branch, a new branch, you know, because I got my personal brand for like the photo video stuff with the music stuff and the TikTok and Instagram. But like, bro, I want to start shooting more photos that are like, I'm shooting with the intention of either capturing a memory that's just like super wholesome, or like with the intention of printing this out.
Lifestyle,
I'm trying to be like Life of Riley.
Sure.
And he has a Leica, so I had to get one.
Right, obviously.
Yeah.
And which is someone who, I mean, not to like totally spoil, has a fucking awesome personal brand. His personal brand is like travel to cool little places in Italy and race cars and do stunts and take photos on a Leica, which is a great brand to have.
If you listen to our podcast episode of our favorite creators, he was one of them. If you haven't checked out his work, it's amazing. Hopefully we have him on the podcast one day.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. Let's get into personal branding, because that's really important. I feel like we keep realizing how important it is more and more and more and more the further we get along on this fucking journey.
It's also something that I thought I kind of knew about when I was first starting out, but then looking back at how I kind of handled myself and what I was posting on social and how my website looked or whatever it may be. However, how I carried myself, I was like, I don't really have a personal brand.
Right.
And I think that if I was to have a better personal brand when I was first starting out, I probably would have gotten more deals and been a little bit farther along on my journey.
Yeah, so we're going to help you out do that right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great time. I mean, too, you got to think about it. People buy from brands where they feel like they know who's behind it, you know? I bought a Tesla. We're good friend Elon, you know. I kind of know. I feel like he's done a good job at like making his personal brand very big, very known. He's also kind of taken a comedic approach. Being a billionaire, you don't really see that. You don't really see billionaires on Twitter.
There's a whoopee cushion in the Tesla that's electric.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And it kind of, you can see that from now his personality. It's like, oh, that makes sense.
Totally.
You know?
And yeah, like Nike, like you just know you're gonna get a good product, right? You're gonna know that the cool people are wearing it. And that's what you need to do for yourself, so that when companies are looking to hire someone, they're like, that guy, that's gonna be a good video every time, right?
You really just one-upped me, man.
Yeah. Yeah, because like, I bought this pretty expensive camera. And Brandon's like, yeah, well, my car is like, you know.
But I got a Tesla. Yeah. You're a little biased, though, because you hang out with Elon all the time. It's not fair. Like, you were going to get a different electric car?
Yeah, you couldn't.
No, I definitely wasn't going to. I mean, think about it, too. Like, there's so many examples of that. And like a big one for me, I can think of the Christian Guzman person that I really like his content, right? So back when I was starting, I found this guy who was a hustler. He was an entrepreneur, and he was fit. And so I was like, okay, those are things that I want to aspire to be. I want to hustle. I want to be an entrepreneur, and I definitely want to be fit, and I'm not fit yet. Then he comes out with said brand. So I already like this person. I identify with the message and the things that he's putting out. So that's why I bought Alphalete. Not because I gave a fuck about Alphalete,
right?
But because I liked him, and therefore I went and bought the product. And I think that a lot of maybe people that are older can think of that with Steve Jobs. With Apple,
right?
Love this dude. They love this person's personal brand. He was this innovator. He was always in front. Like we didn't really see that before.
Always had a turtleneck on.
Exactly.
Every time.
We didn't see that before him. There was his own little thing, you know.
Right.
And so he's pushing this innovation that this brand is the best, and we are going to continue to change the future. Whatever. And people are like, I'm liking this guy. I want to see the change in the future. Okay, let me buy into this product. And now most of America uses Apple stuff, which is crazy.
Right.
I'm such an Apple fanboy.
Same.
Like
Huge Apple fanboy.
It's insane. And it's because of the brand.
Yeah. If you see me rocking something else, just know I got paid a fat bag for it. What up, Samsung?
Come at me, Android. Let's see what you got. How much money you got?
Dude, guys, green techs are not that bad.
Yeah. Green tech's like money, baby.
Who uses AirDrop anyways? Okay, but we do have 10 tips for you guys that we think are the best way to grow your personal brand and to really define what your personal brand is. So we're kind of just going to go round robin, list the 10, and kind of give you some tips on how to navigate each. So Chase, you want to start us off?
Yeah, hit me.
Yeah, so it's really important to know what fits in your brand, what doesn't, etc. So you got to define your brand, right? You got to know what is it that you do? Like, what are you going to provide clients that is special to you, and why would they hire you versus someone else's brand, right? And so like you need to think of something that's unique to you, original, and a marketable reason why they would want to work with you. So maybe it's just like you're super friendly on set, or maybe it's that you just always get the coolest shot, or maybe it's like the transitions or et cetera, something that you do.
Yeah, when I was kind of first starting out, just had graduated college, was just kind of getting into doing this professionally in the freelance game of photo video. A lot of times people would come up to me and be like, oh, you're a model. And it would drive me crazy. I'm like, I'm not a fucking model, but I'll pose for like a brand deal for Instagram. But my personal brand was not aligned with what I did for work.
Right.
And that's a problem. And
what you wanted to get hired for, right?
Exactly.
So like my good friend from high school is this kid, just floppy headed blonde hair kid that just like, he got like the second DJI drone and just started flying drones. And he's like, I'm just the drone guy. And we're like, all right, dude, we all like made videos. We're like a little squad. He was always the drone guy, whatever. And then he's doing drones, and then he like dropped out of college and he was like, fuck it. I just want to be the drone guy for career. I'm like, that's crazy. All I want to do is fly drones. Then he starts to get some money, and then he makes that fucking bowling alley FPV video that like everyone in the world saw for some reason, which is crazy. I mean, it's an incredible video, don't get me wrong. And now he's the fucking drone guy, dude. Like on the internet, he's the drone guy. And all he does is fly drones. That's all he ever wanted to do. So it's like, have a focus and take out what doesn't serve you. If you're doing something that's just giving you a tiny little bit of money, or like you don't like doing it, just delete it if you can, and focus on the stuff that you want to be known for and that you want to be hired for.
Yeah, totally. I think knowing what you aren't is just as important as figuring out what is your personal brand.
Totally.
Because then that allows you to, disregard what you aren't, what you don't want to focus on, and lean into what it is you do.
Mm-hmm.
And as they start to as people start to make money with this, I think it's very important. And Kostas has talked to us a lot about this, but like say, you're starting to make money, you're starting to get brand deals, and another brand comes in and they really don't align with your values. Maybe it's like an alcohol brand, and you don't drink or something, right? And they're like, hey, we're willing to pay you like 10 times as much as any other brand deal. And you having the power to say no keeps that integrity of your brand, because you could go out and take it, and then everything you stand for just gone. The people trust gone.
If people follow you because you are a travel vegan influencer, right? And then they catch you with just big fogo de chao, like brand deal, just eating Brazilian steaks.
In your hometown?
Yeah, in your hometown, where you grew up, in your mom's basement. Like, it doesn't matter how much money you're going to get. That's going to ruin everything you built. So, totally. You got to focus.
Logan Paul talked about this on Impulsive. He said that I believe it was like Burger King or McDonald's came to him and they wanted to do a brand deal, and it was for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he turned it down because he was like, that's poison. Like I look at that as fast food. Like I don't eat that. So why would I do a brand deal and promote something that I don't truly believe in?
We actually got an offer as a podcast to have our first like sponsorship thing from a company, and it just didn't really align with what we do or what we care about or what we're trying to like help you guys with. So we said no, which was hard. I really want to say yes at first because I wanted the money, but fuck them. You're right.
First tip is define your brand. Braden, what do we got for number 2?
Big number 2. We got to discover our target audience, who we want to talk to, who we want to follow us along on this journey, and or who you're going to serve, who you're going to help with the content that you put out. So like, even let's use myself for an example. A lot of the stuff that I put out is helping creators. My bio, helping creators make it happen, right? It's like, hey, if you come here, you're going to get stuff that's motivational. You'll get stuff that maybe helps you with gear questions. You could DM me. I'm always at the end of every video saying, when I remember it was during the pandemic, I was trying to figure out a way. I was like, how do I get people to talk to me? Like, how do I get them to go to my Instagram from TikTok and like, let's start a conversation? And I kept seeing people like, there's so many different ways that people are doing it. I was like, you know what? No one's saying DM me on IG with any questions. So why don't I just try that and we'll see if it works.
Open the door.
Open the door, because it exactly, people don't want to do that. And then I remember vividly one night of the pandemic, we're playing COD. It's like 2 a.m. I go to my requests and it said 99 plus. I go,
really? Holy
shit, what happened? And I go to the video and I got like 10,000 views, but even the 10,000, at least 100, that's a crazy conversion to go over, right? So 100 people, more than 100 people went over and were DMing me, and it took me like weeks to go through that, but I did it. And I think that's important because that is a part of my brand that I've tried to keep true to myself, as being like, hey, the kids didn't respond to me when I started. So I'm going to be the person that responds to you now. That's like, I've taken that upon myself. That's part of my brand. So that my audience is creators.
Yeah. And going off of that, I think not only is it important, let's say you want to grow your personal brand on social media, is like, what target audience am I going to like grow the number of followers and like supporters that I have? That's one side of it. The other side is also figuring out what clients you want to attract through your personal brand. So for example, if you're a wedding photographer, your branding on your website and social media is going to look a lot different than a sports videographer. For example, a wedding, photographer, videographer, much cleaner, maybe some cursive.
Bright.
Bright,
white,
and airy.
White background.
100%.
Yeah.
Sports videographer, maybe a lot more in your face. Effects, sound effects, whatever it may be,
pop zooms, contrast.
The branding is going to look a lot different. So discover your target audience by figuring out who it is you want to attract, whether it's followers or clients that you want to work with.
Totally. All right, what's next, Kosti?
Give me one.
Become an expert.
Ooh,
that's number 3.
Okay.
And I think that's important because you want to learn everything you can about your craft, because people want to work with experts in their fields. And you might just be starting out and say, hey, like, maybe I'm not the best photographer or videographer yet, but a way that you can kind of get around that is by studying your ass off and like watching YouTube videos and learning as much as you can about said specific field or niche that you're wanting to focus on. Because, if you're talking to a client and they're asking you certain questions, you want to have answers to those questions. Becoming an expert in your field is super important when building a personal brand. I
remember when I was with this agency and they were like, we want to like buy a kit. And I like was kind of junior then, and they were like, a shit ton about cameras. And then it became a really valuable skill to them that I just knew a shit ton about cameras. So like becoming an expert in like all the things that you care about, right? Like if you are a drone guy, say just to go back to that example, you need to know like all the drones and you need to know how they fly and how they fly differently, et cetera. Because people are going to ask you. And sometimes if you say in that example, you come on set and like the production company is like, we use this drone. And you got to be an expert on that drone too. And even if it's not the drone that you use, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think a saying that I remember from back in the day, back in the wrestling days, this coach would be like, if you want to be a state champ, how do you be a state champ? How do you get to the top of the mountain? You ask the man that goes there every day. So you go look at, if you want to become the next, big fitness star. Okay. What did the best fitness people do? How often do they post? What was the frequency of the posts on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever? And you can kind of start to analyze, you can kind of basically reverse engineer how they did said thing by just going and look. I think Gary Vee talks about this a lot. He's like, don't listen to what I say, look at what I do. Because that'll tell you what's going on. And like he just said the other day, he's like, I'm not posting as much on X platform, I'm posting on this platform. You can just look at what he's doing. Right. And be like, oh, he's not posting on Instagram 9 times a day anymore. Why is he doing that? Where is that output going now? And you can kind of just start to feel and get an idea of like, oh, okay, so he has a huge, 30-person team behind him, but on a small scale, what can I do that'll actually let me get to point B,
Well, and that fucker David Dobrik, who is an expert about social media, just stopped posting on YouTube, and everyone's like, that's weird, right? The pandemic hit, and he was only posting on TikTok. And he just knew. He just fucking knew, dude, because he's an expert in social media, right? And that's why he gets paid so much money to do it.
I will also say being an expert and having a lot of knowledge allows you to bullshit a lot better when you don't know the answer to something. So let's say you're on set and something's going wrong, or maybe you don't have the answer to something.
Right.
If you know what you're talking about, you can kind of navigate your way around it.
F-stops, shutter speeds,
Apertures, all Leicas and Germans.
No, you don't get it. When the tungsten comes through the diffusion, it's just it's not going to work.
Maybe just throw out a lot of jargon. They have no idea what you're talking about, but you sound so confident in what you're saying that they believe you.
Yeah, 560 Kelvin. No. You're gonna want to put that down, and you give me a snack. Something like that. Next point is establish a presence. Not build a presence. Establish who you are online and get your shit out there, right? Because if no one sees it, no one's gonna hire you. I just had drinks with a pretty prominent like car commercial director. He's like top dog in the field. Really fortunate to get drinks with him, and I asked him like, how did you get connected with all these big production companies, these big companies? Like, where did you get your work from? And he just said, it's like the reel is everything. He said, you send your reel, they watch it. If they like it, you can get hired. And then they like bid for you. You know what I mean? He's like, the reel is everything. So make a reel, put it on your own website that again aligns with your brand, like you were talking about, wedding photographer, sports. Like if you want to be like the playful guy that like is also good, like maybe a yellow backdrop, I don't know, call me crazy. So like get your reel out there. Get it, like post all this stuff on social media, Instagram, like everywhere you can go, just to like establish kind of like, this is what I'm doing. All the kids that you went to college with will see, oh, Chase, he's a video guy now, or etc. You know what I mean? It's very important.
Yeah, they'll be like, you'll never believe this guy Chase has a yellow backdrop
on his website.
Kid's crazy. We gotta fucking hire him.
Is he a goofy guy?
He's exactly who we want.
Most people don't post either. It's so weird. It's so like weird. We're in this game of trying to get clients and trying to grow our brands, and people are like, they have this weird thing with posting, and I think you got to just say, like, when in doubt, just fucking post it, dude. You never post it. You never know who's watching,
and you never know where your stuff is gonna come from. I got a job that I remember when I first went to LA, I had no fucking money, and I got a job from my website that I made like over the summer on Squarespace, which it was still to this day is the only job I ever got from my website, but I still have it up there because you need it. I mean, I send it to like when I apply for shit, but like that someone just found my website. It was for these dry bags. I actually filmed them all in Costa's mom's condo, all these videos, but it was like $3,000. And when you have $0, that's sick, dude. I was like, I get to eat groceries for like, it was fucking awesome. So you never know where you're going to get it from. Like I've gotten Instagram DMs. All of a sudden I have like a full on big job. You know what I mean? Like you never know where you're going to come from.
I also think you guys were talking about like making a reel is everything. If you're a photographer listening to this and you don't really do video, pull your best photos and start building out your portfolio. And something that you should do every photo shoot that you do, right? You take all your photos, you pull your selects, you send them to the clients. Out of those selected photos that you turn in, pick your favorites.
Yeah.
It's much harder to like go back through terabytes of footage on your old hard drives and try to find your best shots,
like
whatever.
Years later.
So keep it organized. Like every time you do a new shoot, pick your favorite stuff and like put it in a folder so it's easy to find when you are building your website.
And don't just pick your favorites because they're the client's favorites, because when you pick your own favorites, that's when you're making your personal brand, right? Because that's your taste. That's like your favorite shit. The client can do whatever they want.
If you turn in a video to a client and they made some changes that you don't really love, they went a different direction, you can make your own version.
And post it to your
Director's cut,
website.
baby.
Yeah. I do it all the time, almost every time. So many times. If I'm going to post something on my portfolio, so often I'm like, this is V12 that they wanted. Yeah, too many rounds, I know. But I really like V6 a lot. And that's one's going to go on my website. And that's okay. Do that.
To build and grow our presence, we got to post. And we said that you do need to post. And if you guys want, we'll do a whole episode on how to actually grow your social platforms. But you got to DM us. You got to leave a rating, by the way. So if you haven't done that in the beginning, go leave a rating for the love of God.
Come on.
Thank you. And this is the thing, though. I think that tell me what do you think about this? Because you photograph things, you know? I think photographers should learn basic video because all of the platforms are video first. And I think to truly get the most out of your work, if I was a photographer, that's what I would do.
So smart.
So that's why I'm telling people, if I was a photo guy, I would look at all the platforms and be like, well, they're not for me right now. Unless you're on B-Reel and you're not there.
Right.
Okay. So you need to, I think, learn very basic video editing skills to be able to showcase your work. I think it would only make you guys more money and broaden out the clients that can see your shit.
Right.
You know,
that'll help you do that fucking Evan Naka shit where you're filming yourself about to take the shot and then you take the shot. Oh, that's another video clip.
Totally.
And then you show the shot and now you got all these TikToks you drive in a Porsche.
And you don't need to be the next like crazy videographer. You literally just need to learn how to cut. That's it. You just literally need the C. That's it, guys. That's all you got to know and figure out how to export a video, Google it, and you will be set. Seriously.
You have to figure out how to edit a video in a way to showcase your photography.
Exactly.
I follow a lot of photographers on Twitter, ironically enough, and also like Instagram, obviously. But on Twitter, you hear a lot of people, and on Instagram as well, but you hear a lot of photographers complaining about how, the algorithm's changing and how everything is like video centric now and focus on video and photos getting left in the dust. And I agree, it sucks. It's just not great for photographers. I understand. The thing is, like, it is what it is.
Yeah, lots of bitching, no action.
Yeah.
Right.
Seriously,
That's what he tells
dude.
his girlfriend. It's like, you gotta take control of the situation, please.
Definitely don't do that to your girlfriend or Len Borley. I can tell you that.
She will be an ex.
But speaking of just learning how to cut, learning the basics, learning how to use C. Let's talk about the 3 C's of branding.
Oh, God
Yeah,
damn.
I don't know if we've had a better transition on the podcast.
Okay, yeah, I'll take this one, sure.
Yeah, take the first one for me.
The first one is clarity, right? Ensure that what you're doing is clear to your audience, to the clients, that like it's obvious, that it's not mushy. It's like, I am the guy that shoots awesome lifestyle, right? People should know what they're getting from you beforehand. They should know this is the guy that shoots the shit.
That's so fair. For example, you look at some of these super talented people on social media, right? They get hired. I'll take an example. You get Matt Como, right, to film a video, or you hire him to film a video. You know exactly what you're going to get beforehand.
Totally.
Before you hire him. You like have something to expect. So I think you should take that into account when you're creating your videos and stuff for a client. Like, they should know and have an idea of what to expect when they get the final product.
Dude, for a while, so I edited this video for like Kyrie shoe release, and they had all these like transitions or whatever. And for like a year, I got freelance editing jobs. They were just do the that's all like so many actually, like a lot. That was huge for me. But it was just like, it's funny. I just became the guy that did like the weird transition things, like and I still use them sometimes, but I'm trying not to. Whatever. Second one is consistency. If you're gonna have a clarity, you can't have it unless you have consistency. Because if you make one video and that's what you want to be doing, and then you post something totally different, you're not being clear or consistent. If you make one video that's like a cool style that really jives with who you are, make a lot more and post a lot more, and then all of a sudden you are consistent and people know what they're gonna get. So like, yeah, post often, update your reel once, twice a year maybe, and just like, yeah, stay on top of that shit.
Someone who did this, who we had on our podcast, was Danilo. I went to his website because he talked about a specific photo that he had taken of the Chainsmokers that he was like, this was my favorite photo that I've taken, whatever. I go to his website and it was like right after he had shot an event with like Drake or something. And I was just simply impressed with the fact that like his latest work was up on his site.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Because I think a lot of times people kind of put off like updating their website or whatever. And the thing is, if you put it off for a while, it gives you anxiety. You're like, it becomes this big task of like, fuck, I haven't posted in a while. Like I haven't updated my website. If you do it consistently, it doesn't become this big thing and it's easy. It's much easier to, hey, I just took like 2 or 3 new photos that I love. Let me put these on my website. As opposed to like, oh my God, I just shot like 10 different events and I have to go through all these, pick my favorites, like upload 50 or 60 photos.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people have this idea that I'm going to tell you to show up every day because I think that's the quickest way to get anywhere. Is if you literally do something every day, you'll get there a lot faster. But on the other side of it, I don't want you all to be like, this guy's psycho and I feel burnt out after I've done it for a month. So you got to remember and you got to sit down and be like, what is, you might have a wife, kids, and you have a nursing job and you're a photographer on the side or something. Okay. So for you, doing something 7 days a week is not sustainable. Maybe it's 3 times a week.
Right.
So analyzing for yourself, be like, what does my consistency actually look like for me? Not for Braden, not for Kostas, not for Chase. And be like, okay, let's do this 3 times a week and let's stick to it for a month. I think use those 30-day blocks that we get in our month to plan out what you're going to do and then just attack. And like, I'm telling you guys, lead with action and you won't, it's just going to be so much easier for you than you sitting down. Oh, I'm still in the planning phase. Just fucking do it. Figure it out as you go and like learn. Cause you test and learn, and learn. And you'll get there one foot in front of the other a lot faster than you sitting back and be like, yeah, man, I really should get to posting that next week when I have my plan down. Just like start going and start hitting the ground.
A couple of things. I was making shrimp scampi the other night. I was following this Gordon Ramsay recipe. And one of his things is like you're adding spice. You're adding like pepper or whatever it may be. And he goes, you can always add more in, but you can never take it out.
Right.
So I feel like that kind of relates to photo video. Like you can always add more onto your plate, but if you bring too much on your plate, you get anxious and like you're overwhelmed and it's like it's not feasible to sustain it.
Right.
So I think like start with something that's manageable. Once you get that schedule locked down and you can stay consistent with that amount of work, then you can add more on.
Kostas was telling me something about Peter McKinnon from this video before the pod, and Peter said this in this video like a minute ago. He was like, hey, you shouldn't go and make an announcement video. I'm going to post daily vlogs every day. Just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Just, you don't need to post, hey, I'm doing weekly vlogs, like whatever. Just do whatever said thing you want to do. Because 2 things, I think when you make a promise to your fans, this is going to, or your audience, this will go into our next point, constancy, right? What does constancy mean? Can you tell the people?
Yeah. It means to build trust with your audience.
Okay, so constancy means to build trust with your audience. So on the other side of that, if I tell people, yo, I'm going to do something every single day and I do it once and I peace out, like you look like an idiot. 2, people are like, yo, what's going on with my boy here? Why isn't he posting every day? He said he was going to post every day. That loses trust. Everything you do, you got to think about. I took a class in college and they were saying, this is really crazy to think about. Most people don't think about social media like this, but he was like, if someone comments on your photo, especially when you don't have millions of people following it, they studied it and people said that when they commented on your photo, that felt like they were actually in person saying said thing to you. So when you don't respond back or you don't like the comment back, it's like you just said, hey, what's up? And I just didn't fucking acknowledge you and I dipped.
Funny.
So it builds, you can build trust with people and build communication by DMing people in the DMs or by commenting back to people. I think it's a very overlooked thing. People with smaller audiences, I see that they don't comment back and they're like, oh, how do I grow my brand? I'm like, be a fucking normal person.
Yeah.
Why don't you comment back to the 5 or 10 people that gave a shit enough to comment that the thing was cool? I was like, you're making this hard on yourself by not commenting back, by not responding, by not making yourself a part of the conversation.
Yeah. I heard Gary Vee say that one time, and I used to like never respond to comments. And I was like, man, what a piece of shit I am. I really felt bad. And so now I try my best to comment back. Going back to consistency though, 2 things. One, Braden said that showing up is like the whole thing. We tried to go golfing yesterday. And we're like, dude, we're going to go hit the range, get out of the house Sunday night. Let's go hit some balls. We're like not that great at golf, but like, whatever, we're going to go. And we went too late, so we couldn't rent clubs. Oh, no. So we showed up and then had to leave. And then we went to go get ice cream. But as we were leaving, we said, you know what? 90% of success is showing up.
There you go. You showed the fuck up.
First day, we went to the green. We checked it out.
We looked at
next time, maybe we'll hit some balls.
You location scouted that shit,
we checked it out. Dude, we know where the clubhouse is.
We know how to get to the driving range.
We also know the golf course rental guy is. Yeah. First name basis with that guy.
Nice.
So we're set.
What time did you show up? Like
8.
Like
it closed at 9.
It closed at 9. But the clubhouse closed at 7.
But sun sets at 8, right?
Yeah.
They don't really like you if you hit balls in the dark. But you get those glow in the dark balls.
No, they had lights. They had lights.
That's bullshit, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The clubhouse closed at 7. I go, that would have been really good to know, but we'll table it.
And then one other point that I want to make as well, as far as consistency goes, once you figure out your brand and you're consistent with it, let's say you might get sick of it or you want to start shooting something else. It's totally okay to pivot. For example, before I was doing the music stuff, I was doing like kind of like higher end fashion, which I still kind of do, not as much. And I was doing some real estate stuff. Before that, I was doing a lot more like influencer work. And I feel like I've pivoted quite a bit in my career as far as like what I'm known for, what kind of stuff I shoot. And like, that's totally fine.
Yeah, dude. I was making travel vlogs, now I'm making car stuff. Yeah. Not making cars, but I wish.
Gym, travel, now I'm doing ads, sports.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, I think what's cool about what we do. OnlyFans is my next thing.
Have you let people know about that?
Yeah, I haven't let people know. Please don't tell me.
Please rate, review OnlyFans.
What's interesting though about what we do that I think is so cool is we have the ability, as long as we have the cameras, to tell a story about anything. So whether, one day, learned a shit ton about credit cards. I could tell so many things about credit cards.
A lot about credit cards.
Okay, but I'm not going to be the credit card guy yet. But I could totally be a credit card dude like that. I could go that route. You could be the points guy. Could be the points fella. Yeah. We could all go travel again. We know how to make a video. You know what I mean?
Give us a little credit card tip. Give me one.
One good credit card tip. Okay, so if you open up a credit card of any kind, this is not financial advice, but to raise that score up, you can pay it off multiple times in the month. And the credit bureau doesn't take at the end of the month is when they take their pull. So if you ran that thing up or whatever, and at the end of the month you didn't pay it off or you paid off the minimum, and it was like $1,800 you spent on it, and it was a $2,000 limit, they're gonna look at that and be like, "Yo, homeboy here is running that card up really high, and he's not paying off the full amount. We're gonna deduct some points here." You know what I'm saying? So be mindful. Pay it. You can pay it off in 2 or 3 payments in a month, and then you'll get a better score because it shows them. They go, "Hey, Chase here, he's taking initiative. He paid off 3 times this month and it's at 0. Good job, Brock. We'll give you some points up."
Interesting.
There's one. Okay.
Didn't know that.
But interesting, very cool. What we all do, photo, video, design, whatever, in a creative space, you can pivot. You don't have to do one thing forever. And I think it's interesting because my parents, for example, that's all they've been taught. And that's all the generation that I want to probably say is like 35-ish and above probably thinks that like, yo, I remember vividly, I went to Cal Poly Slow for the beginning thing when you're a freshman or whatever. I was trying to get into orientation, tried to get into Cal Poly Slow, didn't get in. But I remember the dean stands up and he goes, "Hey, listen, we're like 17. He is, all of you guys must find and know your major and career path by the time you enroll as a freshman, and you cannot change it." And I was like, whoa, back up, Mom. So if I say bio right now, that's it.
That's crazy.
And you can't change it. And that is the stupidest fucking thing in the whole world. And it's like a huge problem. Huge problem because one, we should be able to fucking innovate and change. People change.
Right.
I'm not the same person I was when I was 21.
Totally.
And I think that is an idea that a lot of people have, especially people that go to college and they go the traditional route of like, oh, I'm going to be a finance guy, must get out, must do this. You know what I'm saying? It's not teaching you to think bigger. It's not teaching you that it is okay to pivot. It is okay to change, because
Absolutely.
we as people change.
Totally.
I think it's a very important thing. People got to
Dude,
realize.
I'm about to pivot. I'm going to stop shooting concerts and just become a travel influencer.
There you go.
There it is.
Rack it up, baby.
Come on,
I'm
let's do
saying
that.
it now.
And when you travel, you develop a lot of stories, I would say. Oh, yeah, come on.
Dude, Chase is crushing it with these fucking
come on.
segues.
But yeah, you got to develop your story, right? So we just had Skylar on. He told us that his story was everything for him for getting jobs in the beginning. Like, he lived in his car. He was trying to do photography out of his car. For 4 months, he fucking did that. And then people started hiring him because they're like, dude, we talked to you. It was crazy. Your story was nuts. We just want to give you a shot. And then he was awesome. So now he has all this crazy work. It's really important to get your story out there.
I would also say that something that most people would look at as a negative, he turned into a positive.
Totally.
And so like whatever your living situation is, or whatever your current situation is at the moment, like lean into that and don't be afraid to share your story, because it'll get you work and it'll like build trust with your audience.
People appreciate that vulnerability.
They do. When I moved out here from Minnesota, I like would tell people, hey, I'm from Minnesota. I just like drove out here. Don't really know what I'm doing. A lot of like people that were like from the Midwest or like transplants that like had companies and stuff out here would hire me because they were like, oh, this is Midwest kid. Let's give him a shot, which is really nice. So your story is really important.
Number 8 is follow a successful model. And the thing is, guys, you don't have to reinvent the wheel and you don't have to be crazy unique. There's a book called Steal Like an Artist. And one of the biggest tips that it gives in the book is to not reinvent the wheel. Find a couple people that are doing what you want to do successfully and pull a few things from them.
Totally.
It's totally okay to be inspired by others. Try not to take too much from one person because then the lines get blurred between feeling inspired and copying.
Don't be that Russian J. Alvarez guy that just recreates all of his photos.
They got his same tats.
Yeah, that is insane. But it's so important. Like, yeah, that same director guy that I was talking about earlier was talking about how he's in his film school in Germany, which is like really renowned. He said, the guy just said, just copy films. He said, find stuff you like, and take like a few shots from each of them and put them into your own ad or your own short form thing or movie, whatever, and just make a conglomerate of stuff you like. And then because that's your taste, all of a sudden you have your own thing, you know? Really important.
A really bad example of copying someone or imitating someone is when Sam Kolder was making his travel films and was like on top. Yeah. He had his name come up like Sam Kolder, and it was in brushstroke and it squiggled. And every single travel video you would see would have the kid's name in a brushstroke, slightly different thing, and it would wiggle. And you'd be like, dude, you're just blatantly copying Sam Kolder, so don't do that.
Same kind of music, everything, dude.
The zoom transitions.
Come up with your elevator pitch. I think is really important. I think a lot of people say, make an elevator pitch, have an elevator pitch. And like no one tells you how, right?
But why would you need an elevator pitch? When does it come into play?
The name comes from literally if you are in an elevator.
Hey, I'm Braden.
Chase, nice to meet you.
What do you do?
Oh, see, and then I tell him one sentence what I do, because he only got 4 floors left on this elevator ride with me, right? And he's the CEO of Apple, and I want to tell him because I want to work with him, right?
Oh, Steve Jobs.
I'm Steve.
Steve Jobs, yeah.
Oh no,
Steve
Tim
Jobs.
Cook.
Yeah.
I'm Tim.
Oh, right, sure, whatever. The ghost of Steve Jobs, great guy, rest in peace. So. That's where the name comes from, elevator pitch. Sometimes you only have a second. You meet Casey Neistat, you're not going to tell him for an hour, what do you do? So I came up with a little formula today. First, give them I am and a personality trait. So like for me, I am easygoing, let's say. And then your title, what you want to be known as in terms of like, say for this, content creation. So I would say I am an easygoing short form commercial director. And then give 3 marketable skills like that you use or like specialize in that field. So I'd say specializing in cinematography, like visual storytelling and flying drones. And then I would say 3 interests. So it's 1, which my interest would be nature. I'm interested in nature. I'm interested in cars and I'm interested in music, right? And those kind of things, if you pair those with your marketable skills, all of a sudden you have a way to make money in your personal brand. So it's I am personality trait, your title, 3 skills, and 3 interests. I think that's a really important way to make your formula, your elevator pitch.
2 things. 1, you're always going to meet someone out. Hey, what's going on? Nice to meet you. At a bar, whatever it may be. Oh, what do you do? And oftentimes you'll hear people be like, I I do this and I do this, and they're not really that confident about it, or say, hey, I'm a photographer. Oh, what kind of stuff do you shoot? Well, I shoot this. Like, I'm not really sure. If you have that elevator pitch, it just makes you sound a lot more confident. And if you have that figured out, it's a great thing to include in your about section on your website.
The last one, last but not least, you got to get involved in your community. And the way I would do that, the way I did that, is by commenting back to people on I'd go to random creators who I liked and who I wanted to be like. I'd find the people commenting that they usually didn't comment back to, and I would make myself a part of I would add value to whatever they asked. I wouldn't be like, oh, come check out B Figgy's page, I'm sick. No, whatever they asked, if it was sick, if it was a question, I was giving them an answer to said question. They'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? Right. Why is he commenting? Is it a bot? I'm like, and then hopefully if they DM me and say, yo, is this a bot? I'd be like, no, what's up? Yeah, I'm Braden. How you doing? Super nice to meet you. And they're like, wait, what's going on here? And I'm just trying to lend a helping hand, dude, to another creative. I'm just middle of the pack, you know. I'm just getting started in this whole thing, trying to build community and just talk to cool people. So blah, blah, blah.
Not only like responding to comments of people who kind of fall within your same niche, but like you want to be known within your niche and your community by other creators. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like the amount of times that we've gotten work based off of other creators knowing what we do and building that network is huge, because you never know where a job's going to come from. And not only do you want to get involved in the community on like social, but like having other creators know what you do. And if they get reached out to for a job, let's say they don't know how to fly a drone and you're the drone guy, they'd be like, hey, I can't do that, but I know a guy who can.
Absolutely. So yeah, it all comes back to our last tip, which is being a good person, like being nice to the people in your community, and they'll want to just throw you a job. Like, oh, I can't show up to this thing. It's $1,000 for the day. Go nuts. You know what I mean?
Being a good person just goes such a long way.
Goes a long way.
Even as all of you that are listening, get better, you get bigger. You know, you always got to remember that you were once a little rock. You were once a little rock. You once had a question about said thing. So when a kid DMs you and it seems like a really fucking stupid question of, hey, what camera should I get? I don't know, dude. Fucking Google it.
Right.
Maybe take 5 seconds and say, hey, check out the Sony A6000, Sony A6400, A6500, whatever. You know, and that little interaction is going to be positive for the whole. It's going to trickle down to like everybody. Totally. It might seem like it's just between you and Billy, but it's not just between you and Billy, because if he goes up and gets big, when a girl asks him a question, he's gonna be like, I don't know, fucking Google it. And it ruins the whole thing. Even though that's a really funny response to that question, but like, you know what I mean? Though it really it's a lot bigger than just the AB that you think it is. It is a whole thing. It impacts the whole community, in my opinion.
If you're nice to Billy, he'll be nice to Timmy, who'll be nice to Susie.
Trickles down. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that is where we're going to wrap up this episode of the 505 Pod. And if you haven't, please take a screenshot, lob it up on the story, leave a rating for the team, and we'll see you guys all next week.
Peace.